Early in the morning, totally devoted. We got another GOAT from the city of Brighton, the 810.
Hey.
My dog, my friend for about 20 years, Mr. Kevin Norman. Thank you for joining the show.
Yes.
Good to
Pleasure
see you,
to
my
be
boy.
here, Mo. Pleasure to be here.
I got my guy here now. Just so you guys know, Kevin is an athlete, football player, basketball player. He's also an artist. He's a creator. He's an actor. He might be a rapper. He might be a singer. I don't know what he's got in his bag. Tell me everything that you do and let the people know like what you got going on right now, man.
Right now, more or less acting. Full-time out in Hollywood. Acting, you can find me every now and then selling a little bit of that devil's lettuce as well. Right off Ventura Boulevard, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you work for a dispensary in Los Angeles.
Yes. Yeah, I help manage that dispensary in Los Angeles with my lady. And then outside of that, 30 hours a week in an acting studio.
Hell yeah.
Collaborating left and right. We got the studio's got something coming out that just got invited to Cannes Film Festival. So
No way.
yes,
You're going to
sir.
Cannes.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes, dude. I am very
That's huge.
excited for that. And then we got
That's
another
huge,
production
Kev. That's
on the
huge,
way.
Kev. Mm-hmm.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah.
This is like I'm just doing my work, staying in line, pushing myself, and stay positive. And in the right time, everything will happen.
So, anyone that you guys watch the show, I spent some time in LA. And when I got there, my dog was already established there doing his thing. So tell me how your love of acting was born and how it grew and developed into what it is now. Because when I was acting in the high school plays, you weren't with me.
Nah.
Not at that time. Not at that time. It was funny because I would literally, our football coach would make fun of me like, dude, you're gonna go to acting practice. I would leave football to go to acting, to go to a rehearsal, and it was just, it was a balance, but it was something I loved at the time, and you always supported me through those
Very
endeavors.
much.
So like, tell me about the birth of your love of acting and how it's developed into all the opportunities that you have right now, and then talk about some of the things that you've been in.
So as far as like how I got into this, I was bartending down in Houston, Texas at Clay and Spire, which are two of the top nightclubs down there. They actually ended up, this guy was like, yo, you should be an actor. I kid you not, I laughed in his face. I was like, okay. And he was like, no, for real, you're doing it right now. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And long story short, to speed it up, he ended up sending me to Neil Hamill Agency in Houston, Texas, where I sat down with, what I didn't know now, the owner of the agency. And I had like a full-on like Jim Carrey beard rocking, dude, with like hair down to here. And he just was like, what are you here for? And I was like, oh, I'm here because Sean Wally sent me. That was the guy's name. I'll never forget that. And he was like, okay, let me see your profile and everything you have. And I was like, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, see you later. And as I go to open the door to leave, another agent was like, oh, you're Kevin Norman? And I was like, yeah. So I go, and she's like, sit down. I'll talk to you in just a minute. I sit down, talk to her. She signs me. 6 months later, they send me to New York. I compete against like 5,000 other actors in my age range and ended up coming out second out of like 5,000 people and we did 13 different activities like monologues, runway walks, fashion prints, comedy, improv. And I was like, holy crap, this is like the real deal. I can really do this. And the only reason why I ended up doing that is because I quit watching a ton of Netflix shows because I was like, these actors are terrible. And then because I'm a believer, I was like, yo, God, why are you putting this thought in my head?
Right.
Why are you allowing me to think that these people are bad? I was like, all right, let's dabble in it. And then that happened, and I gained a scholarship to go out to LA for another what they called week-long intensive called Meet Hollywood. And at that intensive, I got pulled out of the intensive by a producer to be like, yo, you should be in my Netflix show. And I was like, this is happening so fast. What is going on? So we shoot this Netflix episode.
What was the name of that episode?
It was called, it never ended up making it to Netflix.
Okay, but it was a pilot or something?
It was the pilot, and it was called Seven Hills, which was basically like Orange is the New Black, but imagine teenage version.
Got you.
There was like 8 girls living in a halfway house, and I was the boyfriend who was sneaking in drugs, and at night sneaking in, sleeping with the girls.
Got you.
Yeah, so it was a fun
Nothing like you.
No, come on, man. Come on. Well-mannered man here, Pierre. Easy there.
Oh no, yeehaw. But no, that's awesome. So so you got that opportunity, and then what next?
So they tell me move out there January 1st, 2019. So I literally pack up everything.
At the time, you were living in Houston.
In Houston.
Right.
Right. And I pack up the truck, grab a U-Haul, drive out there, and don't hear anything for 4 months. Wow. And I was like, what is going on? So I ended up emailing the guy 2 or 3 times. He's not hit me back. Finally, randomly, one day my phone calls. He called and I answered and he's like, "Hey, is this Kevin Norman?" I was like, "Yeah." And it was the producer for the show that ended up pulling me from that week-long intensive.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm sorry to tell you, but Netflix shelved our script, which means they gave all the funding for our script to a feature film."
Wow.
So I was like, so here I am in Hollywood, only there to do what I thought moved there to do. And I was like, well, I can't run back home now. I moved here for a reason. Let's find that acting studio that when I was there for the intensive, we took a 4-hour class with. And in that class, the coach played a game called Truth or Lie. So everybody went up. You had 60 seconds, tell a story. The acting coach will tell you if it was truth or a lie.
Yeah.
And I was one of the 2 people that actually stumped the teacher.
Right.
And I told a lie about how my girlfriend died because of cancer. And here I am in Hollywood trying to act like for her now because she wanted me to pursue my dream.
Yeah.
Total lie, but I ended up being able to cry during it and everything.
Yeah.
And the whole class was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know that happened, this and that." And I was like, "It was a lie."
Yeah.
And the coach was just like, "Kevin Norman,
Yeah.
please look me up anytime you move out here. Whenever you move out here, just come to my studio."
Right.
So I was like, I ended up finding this studio, and literally that's where I'm at now, which is Mad Acting Studio with Max Decker out there. And I've come leaps and bounds from the actor that I was, because I look back at first projects and it's a joke.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing, man. And you know, ever since you had told me about your studio, I had been following them, and a lot of working actors out of there, and a lot of big projects coming out of there. And you know, I was loving meeting your kind of crew and your group of people that were kind of creating this art and kind of working for each other. It was really, really special. So tell me about some of the projects that you've been in since joining. I know you had recently done Out of Bounds with some of the groups members of your acting studio. Like, tell me some of the projects that you've been in, and you know, what's to come for Kevin Norman.
Right now, so I was in that Out of Bounds. That was with the Bell Twins. You can find them on Disney's movie Safety. And CK Bellato, you can find him on tons of shows. Tom and Pammy on HBO. But as far as like for me, I did that. I was in a play called Clown Bar where I got to actually play. There was 4 different times that we went up, and I was able to play 3 different roles. And in 2 of the viewings or showings, I was actually 2 roles in one show.
Yeah. Oh,
so that was really cool. I was like, half the time I was one role, and then I ended up playing like basically the Joker of the thing. So at the end, I took off all my clothes, was fully tatted, white skinned up. And I was the main villain at the end, because it's all about it's like Moulin Rouge meets Joker. And they're trying to get to the Joker the whole time.
Yeah, that's really awesome that you've had the opportunity to both be on the stage and in a multicam setting, in a single cam setting as well, because you know the stage acting, the emphasis and the urgency is like so high, it's so intense, and it really allows you in those in those private moments in a single camera on a multicam situation to like really harness that urgency, but make it more real. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's really great. So
and then as far as like, I've got like 3 projects that are in the works now, but nothing that has come out yet. So like, as far as NDAs go, I can't really talk too much about them. But I get to play a Western guy, so I'm talking the whole time with an accent, and I'm like intimidating people.
Yeah.
And then another one where I'll be playing like a cokehead.
Yep.
It's a CEO's son who's a cokehead. So imagine like Anchorman meets The Office.
Okay.
Type show. It's hilarious. And then another one I get to play a Viking. So straight up, I love transforming into these different characters so that you're like, oh man, that was Kevin?
Yeah.
What? Like, I don't want people to recognize me on the screen or on stage.
That's so dope. Yeah. We've talked about it in private, but I'm curious because your answer may have changed in the maybe year or so since I've asked you. But what is your dream role?
Oh man, that is a good one.
You could give me, I'll give you 2 opportunities to answer, like in a series, like in a TV series, or in a movie. So you could have like maybe, one or 2 answers, either or.
So in a series, I think my dream role would be, I can't get like too specific with it, but it would be more or less to be seen as the villain, but by the end of the series, you're rooting for me.
Got you.
So some guy that you're just like, I hate him, but I love him, and why so? And it's because like by the end of the series, you would watch my character develop into somebody who has good morals, but might be like Wolverine and willing to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, like a lot of those Christopher Nolan villains, you know.
Yes. Or Breaking Bad, Walter White.
Right.
Where it's like he's the greatest guy ever, but he was doing some wrong things.
Right.
But like you still wanted to see him succeed.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yes, yeah.
Like there's an endearing quality, and there's it's kind of like the road to hell is paved with good intentions type of situation.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
For sure.
And then movies, man, dream role, that's a hard one to answer because I love getting into so many different characters that you wouldn't think I'd be able to play. So that one would probably be like, I mean, I've been a Marvel kid since I could read, so that would definitely, I think, yeah.
That's awesome. What do you think is the maybe the genre or the emotion or the scene that you think people might not expect you to be able to conquer, but like you want that challenge? Like, is there a certain emotion or something that you want to portray that like maybe you'd be typecast not to do something, but you know you can handle?
It's interesting because right now I'm typecasted a lot as the villain.
Really?
Or, yeah. Which
See, I don't see you that way. You know what I mean?
Nobody does, which is why I was like, and even me at first, I was like, why? But it's like physically with like my deep brow and when I give you like the look, people
in
are
the
like,
hair
oh.
right now.
Yes, yeah.
It's outlawish.
Yes, very much so. But I love it because at the end of the day, every villain doesn't believe they're a villain.
Right.
They have in their mind they're doing it for a good cause. So I've come to learn that. And really, when you like embrace that, you make the crowd question why he's the villain.
Right.
So like I've really come to embrace that, and I love that. And I'm guessing you could probably find me in the future as the main villain.
Oh, that's such an insight into the actor's mind, guys. And honestly, like for me, like that's very profound. Like you think of like the biggest villains in history, right? Like your Hitlers or your, just people that have been involved in monster genocides or monster bad things. You're right, dude. In their head, they think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so for them, it's like noble.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us watching, it's like, what are you like? What is wrong with you?
Yes.
And that balance is so powerful. So thank you for the insight on that. I think that's very profound. I think.
How about for you, bro? How about for you on the screen, man? What are you trying?
Wow.
What's your dream role?
Great question. So, my dream role, I would love to be a sports or an entertainment agent in RE Gold or like a Jerry Maguire. I think I could do well with something like that. Yeah. I think I could do well with something like that. I'd also love somebody that you can laugh at, like an Andy Dwyer, a Kevin from The Office. Like one thing that I love about acting, and I try to tell people all the time when they ask me, is that the beauty of it is like your whatever role, sometimes an actor has such a long shelf life, so it's kind of unfair to remember just one role.
Oh yeah.
But a guy like a Kevin from The Office, like dude, he got that role when he's in his late 30s, 40s, whatever it is, and it's iconic.
Yeah.
And whenever that comes, it comes. But you can be an iconic. A role, you can tell an amazing story no matter what age you are. That's the beauty of
Samuel L.
acting.
Jackson didn't get to start until he was in his 40s.
Yeah, dude.
His early 40s, and all of a sudden he's the man.
Yeah, exactly. And as heartbroken as I am about having to move home for, and we talked about it a little bit on our show, but a little bit of health reasons, a little bit of family reasons. My passion for acting has not wavered. I would love the opportunity to continue to do that, and I'm kind of talking. I'm talking about getting back into it a little bit, but just the opportunities aren't as vast here. I know that they're doing a lot of self-tape,
bro. And
what's
you're
up?
gonna be doing that.
Luckily, I mean, we're creating this company to be able to tell our stories, and hopefully one day, we'll get to that point where we can get back into acting from our side, or maybe produce. So
speak it out there. Put that energy out there, bro. It'll happen.
We'll see. Right now here, we do a lot of talking and we talk about reality TV shows. Would you ever do reality TV?
That's funny. I don't think so. I've been asked multiple times already to be on shows.
Yeah. Name drop.
Big Brother.
Yep.
When they had the Houston series, I was moving out of Houston. They asked me if I wanted to stay and be a part of that. I
Yeah.
think that was back in like 2016 or 17. And then other than that, I was asked to be on Too Hot to Handle on MTV.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and Love Island.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, imagine trying to tell your significant other, "Hey, I'm gonna go on this show."
Yeah,
so
right.
it was like,
Right.
But yeah, I don't want to be seen in that reality TV starlight, because I just feel like a lot of actors who have dove into that don't kind of get stuck in that.
Right.
And even if they do have acting pieces here or there, people always love them for their reality stuff
For sure.
instead of like their ability to portray characters on screen. And that's
Totally.
why I love that acting is to not be me on
Exactly.
screen.
And you talked about like you don't want to be recognizable on TV.
Nope.
So or TV or the silver screen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, you know, obviously being on reality TV, that's you're recognizable for who you are. So
Yes.
I was hoping you would say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you would say no. I mean, you never know. You might get an opportunity that you can't
Yep.
pass up. But I was hoping you'd say no because I really, really believe that your path is in the fiction
Yeah, because
category.
my dispensary as well, there's a little insight here. Joe Rogan was trying to produce a weed reality TV show where you watch the dispensary and everything that happens inside.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so our owner sent him a little letter and everything, but he told us that we weren't big enough because my shop only has like 12 to 15 employees. But it's
Okay.
like, bro, you could really get to know all of us then.
Right. You're
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah.
like something like that
the
would be fun.
storylines, yeah.
Or it's more like work related or like something physically challenging related would be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wouldn't want to be like in some kind of house where it's like, hey, watch it for the drama,
Right,
drama. I'm
exactly.
like, come on, man.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, and we deal with it all the time on the shows that we cover and whatever. Like, there's too much manufactured, and like the shows aren't scripted, but the situations are.
Yeah,
You know what I
they're
mean?
not scripted, but they'll make sure you look like how they want you to look.
Right, exactly, and they're
Right.
situationally put together certain
Yes,
ways.
and this
so-
was like they would get to portray me how they wanted to instead of how I am.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. What do you think about the podcast space in general? I know obviously you're looking at it from a different lens, being in LA, where everybody. One thing that I try to let people know about LA is one thing that's different here than it is there is if you go there and you say your wildest dream, it's not the craziest thing in the world. It's
No.
actually achievable.
Yeah,
And
anything.
it's actually, you can literally go to the store and bump into Mr. Wonderful and he can invest in your company. Like, that's how crazy
Yeah.
LA is.
And it moves fast.
And it
too.
moves fast. Exactly.
Yes.
And it moves fast because the decision makers are right there.
Yep.
You know? So, you know, what do you think about the podcast space in general? And what do you think like the future is for, you know, the media in terms of storytelling? And talk about a little bit about the strike going on right now.
Yeah, I think podcasts are great. I think free media is great.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the future, a lot of podcasts will be where people get their information from.
Yeah.
Because it's completely uncensored.
Right.
And you get to hear truth behind things. Or I say that with a grain of salt, though, because everybody's
Their truth.
everybody's words are their truth. Yeah. And it's
Exactly.
like, and if I don't believe it, let me Google it. And if you Google it, you can find out if they're wrong or right, depending on which article you want to read.
Exactly.
So that's the scary part of it. I think everybody needs to be a little bit more aware into doing their own research instead of listening and reverberating.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of that out in LA.
For
like,
sure.
did you hear this person said this? It's so true. And it's like, did you do any research when you were listening to that said person?
Yeah, because I didn't know they were an authority on this particular topic.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's how
Exactly.
it is. And I'm not like a shut up and act or shut up and dribble person per se. I think everyone
Yeah.
deserves to have their platform.
Yes.
It's just like whoever. That's kind of like my thing here, and I literally intend to have differentiating opinions where somebody that I work with or somebody that I support or somebody that I invest in is going to have a totally different opinion than another person that I invest in, and they might hate each other.
Yes.
That's to me, that's journalism.
It's entertaining, too.
Yeah, and it's entertaining, you know. And if I don't give everybody a voice, you know, that's the thing. Now, don't be offensive. if you're working under Go Media, don't be offensive. But I'm also not going to refrain you from offending people because if that's what it is, you know, that's what it is. And you know, if we gotta make something happen, we'll make something happen. But
Yeah, and you're
it's
allowed
all
to
about free voice.
Question people.
Correct.
People get so upset when you just question them, or at least on the West Coast they do, because they'll be, for instance, they'll just come up and be like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" And be like, "I had no idea about that." And they're just like, They go straight to, well, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I didn't ask to be told that. And then if
Right.
you don't agree with that right away, they're like, well, why do you think that? What's wrong with you?
Right.
You're so blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, I didn't even ask for your opinion in the first place,
Yeah,
man. Like,
exactly.
Let's just smoke a J and chill.
Literally, I don't want to, and it's funny you said that. I don't want to. I'm not going to ask you about anything political. But it is a landscape and a time
Yes.
where it's hard to speak your truth and do that for fear of blackball or for fear of cancel or whatever, and that's on both sides, right?
I hate that
so
cancel culture.
so and it's something that we've been talking about here with someone else I can't say, but it's something that you got to let let's take it to comedy. You got to let a comedian be a comedian.
Yes.
You know
man.
what I mean? You got to let a
Yes.
comedian be a comedian. And if you can't handle the heat, bro, stay the fuck out the kitchen.
And a joke is a joke.
Right. Yeah.
It is a joke, people.
And
Laugh.
if you're really offended by it, then you gotta inspect the truth of the joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's some truth in the joke that offends you, then you gotta inspect that and have your own opinion on it. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, yeah. I laugh because I've been to multiple comedy shows where it's like somebody in the crowd gets offended and is willing to speak up on that. And it's like,
Right.
at the same time, bro, you walked into the comedy store.
Yeah.
You walked in to sit down here, man. What like, did you just do this because you knew somebody was going to make you mad? And
Right.
Like, come on, man.
No, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong place. That's really funny. So, now we talked a little bit about how like you're typecast as a villain, and to me, like I said, I don't see it that way. You're a relationship guy. I've always seen you in relationships, but I've seen you had a few. So my point is like I don't think I can ever, unless people are just straight hating on you. I don't see the guy that gets along with just about everybody being the villain. Why do you think that is? Or let me ask it the opposite way. Why do you think that you haven't been seen as the hero instead, as the guy that gets the girl or saves the day? Or is it just around the corner, do you think?
I think at some point I will be given that spotlight, and it might surprise a few people.
Yeah.
Because even in the plays that I've done, like I've been Dan in the play Closer, where like at the end he is the villain.
Right.
He's very, but I do, according to my peers and everything, I do a great job at playing those people who are almost like mentally unstable.
Okay.
Like they think they're doing right, and like the right people can think they're the good guy, but it's like by the end of the play, like they're not really the good guy because up here they're a little
Right.
Like whether you want to call them a narcissist or whatever, but. I think it's just I heard it when I was younger, and you don't believe it until I guess you dive into the arts. But the nicest guy makes the best villain.
That's crazy.
Because like you don't get to see him like in that light too. So and like I've never been an angry, loud, violent person.
Not that I've known you.
No, like I don't yell. Like and even in arguments with my significant others, I've never been a yeller.
Yeah.
I've never been violent. Violence has always been the last answer because of the way my dad taught me. So it's like to really be able to tap into that energy and exude it, I think is also revitalizing for me.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I don't do. So then when I do it, it's so raw and real that it comes off real.
Right.
Like, because I've never understood why
so
you need to
abstract to you.
yell or
Right.
get violent. Because to me, it's all immature emotions or like out of immaturity.
Right.
At the end of the day, because
Yeah.
like you're not getting anywhere productive by doing that.
For sure. You did remind me of something. I do want to add an answer to my dream role. I would love
Yeah.
to do some mafia stuff, personally.
Yeah. No, that's already in the picture. Come
yeah,
on.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Just if you're watching casting, I would love to do that stuff.
Let me be my boss.
Yeah. It's an offer you can't refuse. But like in like mafia or in like Italian or whatever gangster type of stuff, there's always two different types of villain, right?
Oh, yes.
There's the calm, cool, collected, and then there's the rambunctious, loud, obnoxious, and they all have their place. But to tap in on which character, what makes a character do which style is in-depth research. It's in-depth, psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
And I know that's the part of your craft that you've really been honing in on.
I love, man. And I actually had a great conversation the other day with my nephew, who's now like almost as tall as me. And we were talking about Suicide Squad and the old movie and how bad per se it was. And then the new one, he was like, I don't get why it was so good and everything like that. And so I broke it down to him and I was like, comes down to one thing, character development. So many shows and movies that we've got from like or after 2010 has, in my opinion, been like mindless entertainment where you're watching it, it's cool, it's fun, makes you laugh, whatever, feel something. But then at the end of it, it's whatever. And yeah. But in the second Suicide Squad, you had so much character development. So you got to love and learn about each character instead of in the first one. I am a Will Smith fan, but that was the only person you really followed in the entire movie.
True.
And so it was like, okay, yeah, you had one star, but like, let's fall in love with these other characters.
Yeah.
And so then we got to talking about the top TV shows and why those are the top TV shows, which are you aware of like the top two shows that were the most watched live when they were airing?
No.
Breaking Bad and... You just talked all about
Sopranos?
Mafia. Yep.
Sopranos.
Literally. And what do those two shows have?
All character development.
Literally, man. Every single episode.
For sure.
So it's like, I loved doing that and developing these characters. And I hope to bring that back to both the TV and film, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think like for me, that was the part where I was like, continue to learn. Like when I was there, I was unfortunately I didn't work at Mac, but in my studio I was still very surface area, you know, very you want to bring out emotion, you want to do this, but like I hadn't honed in on my craft enough to say like, oh yeah, I'm really working on the character development and what makes this guy that's let's say he's a security guard not scared or scared. You know, there's something in that guy's past that makes him either scared of the moment or not scared of the moment. Diving into that is the real stuff that as a viewer we don't really understand. We just see this amazing performance, but as the performer, you know, there's so much work that goes into that, and just the admiration I have for the arts is insane. So how is the city right now with all the strike stuff going on?
Oh man, the strike it's crazy right now. Not everybody, but most of my friends are all not able to work right now because they're in the SAG stuff. You are able to do small projects, indie films, and as a SAG actor, you can work them if they're not paid, but you're very frowned upon if you're not like with the masses right now.
Of course.
But thinking positively, because we always try and do that, right? As actors, we're thinking just come September, this will all be done with. And if it gets worked out the way that we hope it will, at the end of the day, we're all going to be better off.
Yeah.
Because like these CEOs... You don't need that much money, man.
Nah, they make
your family's family doesn't need that much money.
Yeah, and it's you know, obviously like in business, like the person who funds it gets the most, but what I try to do at this company, and for any creators or whoever, if you're watching and you wanted to work here, like with every person that I do a show with, and if I'm, like you don't have to look and see what the deal is or have a meeting with me. We have an equal partnership in the success of it, right?
Yes.
And
collaborative.
It's a collaborative effort. I don't win if you don't win. Period.
Hands down. Yep.
You know,
that's how it should be.
And sometimes, and it should be like that. From a business owner's perspective, right? Because I have to think both ways, and I have owned businesses before. There's also like, okay, well, are you going to take the same risk that I'm going to take? Because if this movie doesn't do well, what are you going to shell out the $50 million or whatever it is, right? Yep. So I have to think about it from both ways. But whenever a movie is successful, or whenever a show or whatever the project is successful, you know, there has to be compensation, and also, you know, there might have to be a little bit more risk on the actor's side. You know, like it's all stuff to talk about. We'll let them figure it out. I know as a consumer of entertainment, I hope that they get it all figured out.
Yeah, it's honestly it's very sad. I mean, just to give you like some transparent insight, like I've worked some jobs and it's like $150 a day. And it's like, bro, you make more than that as a server at your basic restaurant out in LA.
Right,
so it's like, how are you expecting these actors that wait for these roles and they get paid $150 a day? Oh, by the way, 10% of that goes to your manager, 10% of that goes, or 20% if it's a non-union job. And then on top of that, taxes too. So that 150 really quickly turns into like 115, 120 bucks.
And you ain't surviving in LA off that.
Heck no. And then I just got picked up to do a job on the back end of stuff to help with behind the scenes stuff. And I mean, I'm very thankful for it, but it pays $300 a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I was in front of the camera for this same team like 2 months ago, and I was getting half daily. Like, what?
It's insane.
Excuse me, but I feel like this is a little backwards.
Right, a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's not as hard to drive a truck to set and make sure everything's set up as it is to memorize these lines, get in front, and perform them in the little time that you have.
And be vulnerable to everybody in the planet. You know, there's a big emphasis of that. And like a lot of people don't understand the vulnerability part of it. It's you're letting people into your soul.
Yeah.
Like actually. So they're, you know, hopefully they find a way to compensate everybody for
we
that.
will.
We're running time wise, we're right about there. But before we take off, is there any questions that you have for me?
Oh man, when are we gonna do a project together, bro?
Oh God, bro. You know, I'll fly to LA. I'll spend whatever time I got to do there. If we want to do something here, I would love to, you know, I don't know how the pockets are. I don't know about producing something, but we could talk. I would love to.
I would love to do.
Please keep me in mind, whatever you got going on.
Oh, you always are, bro. And like
You know what I
my,
mean? I'll read too.
a dream of mine is to honestly, because I'm in LA, but LA's not home, brother. Of
course.
And it never will be.
Yeah, no, this
for
is
me.
home.
So I really want to bring production back to Detroit because I believe this city can and will get back to where it once was in the 60s, bro.
Amen, bro.
There's no reason why it can't.
For sure.
And the creative can do that for this city. I do believe that because it's already seen with its artwork and its buildings. So it's like, why not bring back that entertainment? We were already Motown, baby.
Exactly.
Why not just do a little 180?
Exactly. And build on the energy and the momentum that has been slowly happening. But you're right.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a big believer, like a lot of metropolitan areas are successful based on entertainment and education. So as long as you continue to invest in those two things, it all trickles out.
Yep.
You know, it all trickles out.
And
So
if you look at history and everything, after all these wars and stuff that we had, what popped?
yeah,
Entertainment.
for sure.
The theater and film. People want to get away. They want to get distracted from reality per se.
exactly.
And it's like right now with everything that's going on, I truly believe that 2024 through 2034, we're gonna pop.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
As creatives, bro. Mr. Wonderful even said it. The people who are gonna make the most money are creatives.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming through. It will not be the last time. That's a
No,
promise.
sir.
Hopefully we have a lot more to talk about, and some of the projects that you had, mentioned are out, and we can talk about them and review them and talk about those experiences. But love you, brother. Thank you for coming through. Really
Dude,
appreciate you.
Thank you, fam. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, let me get appreciated, G. Let me get appreciated real quick. Let me get another one, man. Let me get another appreciated. Anything else before we take off?
I love you, bro.
Love
Can't
you
wait
too,
to grow
bro.
with you.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We'll see ya.